Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Friday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grotto. Thank you all for stopping by to kick off your weekend and hear our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. Today is Friday, May 29th. We've got a good show for you. Well, not necessarily always the best of news, but nevertheless, it'll be informational and entertainment purposes for you, the lovely A's Day audience. Today, we recap what went down over the final two games of the three-game set against the Seattle Mariners, as it was a tough pill to swallow. The Mariners came into Sutter Health Park. They came, they saw, and they conquered, completing a three-game sweep. We dive into the specifics of what went wrong and where the A's can look to move forward and how to get back on track. We take a deeper look into left-handed pitcher Gage Jump, the number 3 A's prospect, made his Major League debut in Game 2 of this series, as we will recap it and then do a bit of a deeper dive of what went right, what went wrong, and again, what we can expect moving forward. Certainly tons of promise there. We'll touch on some injury updates on some guys that have been on the injured list on the shelf, see if there are any updates and timetables for their return. And then before getting on out of here for the weekend, we are going to preview their next opponent, a tough one indeed, to continue their homestand as the A's welcome in the New York Yankees for a 3-game set starting tonight at Sutter Health Park. Jam-packed show. We're excited to be back behind the mic talking A's baseball. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right, there, A's Day fans. Thank you again for tuning in for our Friday edition, or whatever you're listening to this edition of A's Day. We appreciate all of your support. We hope you've been enjoying our release of our interviews that we were able to complete down in San Diego last weekend with 5 A's players. By the time of this recording, all 5 should be out. And if you haven't had the chance to check it out, be sure to check it out. We have posted it on our social media platforms, on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball. And be sure to view the full version, to check out our YouTube channel, where we have posted all the interviews and future content and all of that good stuff on our YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. Be sure to check us out there. And don't forget to become an official subscriber of A's Day on our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day, for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we are able to grow this platform collaboratively. All right, let's jump right in. If you didn't join us for our last episode, as part of it, we did recap the Game 1 from this past Seattle series, on our Tuesday show. We recap that. If you are not caught up to speed yet, we're going to do it right now. They lost 9-2, and then we'll pick it up from there. Picking it up at Game 2, as tough as Game 1 went, you would hope a turning of the page on a day that started with so much excitement would turn the fortunes around in this series. Early Tuesday morning, the A's announced they would be calling up their number 3 prospect, left-handed pitcher Gage Jump, after the news of Aaron Civale most likely hitting the injured list made airwaves. Luis Severino will now pitch Friday, paving the way for Jump to make his Major League debut on the night he's called up. Game 2, Emerson Hancock going for the Mariners, going up against, of course, Gage Jump. Happy Gage Jump debut day to all who celebrate a wonderful day for the A's organization, graduating another young prospect to its Major League club. Jump would record his first Major League strikeout against the first man he faced in J.P. Crawford by getting him to strike out swinging. He would get Randy Arozarena as well via the strikeout to end his first Major League inning pitch, putting a 0 on the board in the first. On to the second inning, however, it would be a bit of a different story. The Mariners would make their adjustments and put together a 3-run inning thanks to an RBI ground rule double by Mitch Garver, a Cole Young sacrifice fly, as well as a J.P. Crawford sacrifice fly. Once the dust settles, it's now 3-0 Seattle. To the fourth we go. The Mariners would add one more on Julio Rodriguez's RBI single. It's now 4-0. After 5 innings of work, that would bring a close to Gage Jump's Major League debut. Jump went 5 innings, allowed 9 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. The A's were shut down the majority of the night as they couldn't break through against Mariners starter Emerson Hancock, nor the bullpen through 8 innings before being shut out through this one thus far. To the ninth, well, in this one, at least A's Day home run prediction came true. Tyler Soderstrom smashed a solo home run to center, his 6th of the year, as it's now 4-1 Seattle. They couldn't get a rally going from there. Lawrence Butler would be the final out recorded in this one via the ground out. Ball game over. Mariners win 4-1, securing the series victory, and would have an opportunity the following day to complete the 3-game sweep. So first, just want to start here in a tough game, but want to congratulate Gage Jump. What an exciting moment in his professional career. Such a quick ascension, as last year was his first pro season, and he ascended 2 levels, and now is getting the opportunity to join an A's rotation that could really use a spark. That's having its depth tested and also some ineffectiveness mixed in over the last couple of weeks or so as a collective. But in this one, it's about Gage Jump, that the future is now, and we're getting a glimpse into who he is now and what he could potentially turn into. We'll dive deeper into Jump's start after finishing the recap so we can end on a more positive note. This was a tough one, without a doubt. This series, no spoilers, but you can imagine by our tone how Game 3 went. And obviously, if you tuned in right from the start, you already know how this series went. Would expect a jolt to the team when an exciting prospect gets the call up. Wasn't the case in this one. It doesn't seem like there was any urgency from the offense, and sometimes you tip the cap to what the opposing pitcher is doing. Hancock is really emerging as one of the better pitchers in the American League, but you got to make an adjustment at some point. It did seem like that they dictated this game, being the Mariners, once they went up 3-0, even 4-0, and felt like they went into cruise control from there. The Mariners pitching, shout out to them. That is the foundation of this team, and it continues to keep the A's hitters off balance in this series. A's offense, 4 for 31, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and 0 for 5 in runners in scoring position is just not going to get it done. And in such a tightly contested game in terms of on the scoreboard, it didn't feel that way. But I feel like good job by Gage Jump, where there were a couple of moments early in this game where Seattle really could have hit the throttle and put this game out of reach. But limiting them to 4 runs over 5 innings is certainly a deficit that any offense, typically, especially a professional offense, should be able to come back from. But the offense certainly had its struggles continue in this one. Tyler Soderstrom, he's continuing to heat up. He's the lone bright spot in the lineup. He had a couple of knocks in this one. Hits the home run. Thank you, Tyler, for making our prediction come true. And I just you see his at-bats continuing to improve. I know it was a little bit of a slow start for him, but you could see by his BABIP numbers that the expected results are a tick higher than what was outcome. Now it's regressing to the positive median. So looking forward, hopefully this is the start of Tyler Soderstrom in his mini breakout, but time will tell there. As a collective, the offense really needs to pick it up and really show a little bit more urgency at the plate, because it just seemed like it was passing the baton to next guy, but not in a positive way. It felt like in a way that they were being controlled by the Mariners pitching staff in this one. But nevertheless, tough day at the ballpark. Got an opportunity. You have to wipe it away clean. That is the beauty of baseball, the good and the bad and everything in between. In the regular season, you have a next day, a new opportunity. Game 3, Logan Gilbert getting the ball for the Mariners, going up against Jeffrey Springs. Mariners opportunity coming in to complete the 3-game sweep, while the A's are looking to salvage that and avoid being swept for the first time since their opening series. We won't spend too much time here, unfortunately, for this daytime edition of A's Baseball. This was a tough day at the ballpark for all A's players, coaches, fans, and all involved. A's with 2 outs and a runner on. A's make 2 errors to extend the inning, leading in the first inning. Rob Refsnyder smashing a 3-run home run to give Seattle a quick 3-0 lead in the first. In the fourth, Cole Emerson laced a 2-run triple to increase the Mariner lead to 5-0. Springs would work through the fifth and end his day there. Springs worked 5 innings in this one, 6 hits allowed. He did allow 5 runs. Only 2 of them were earned due to the 2 athletics errors, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. The Mariners would go on to add 1 in the sixth off Joel Kunal to go up 6-0 before the final blow of the game and series. In the eighth, Julio Rodriguez smashed a 3-run home run off Luis Medina to turn this into a laugher now. It's 9-0 Seattle. A's get 1 to avoid the shutout in the ninth, but don't come close again in this one. Ball game over. Mariners win 9-1. They complete the 3-game sweep in rather convincing fashion. So Jeffrey Springs, again, I feel this is the lone bright spot in this one. The line looks a little bit ugly because you see the 5 runs, but 2 of them are earned. That's the only 2 on his ledger. Springs, again, makes one mistake, and it does seem like those first inning struggles are returning. And I know he should have been out of the inning, but nevertheless, he did make that mistake pitch to Rob Refsnyder. And that's something that hopefully he can clean up in his next start moving forward. But aside from that, I thought he did a good job and gave, again, this A's offense an opportunity to get something going, and it just wasn't happening. This was an embarrassing performance as a collective. Outside of Jeffrey Springs, in my opinion, he was let down by his defense right away. 2 errors there. The defense is eroding after it was something we were able to boast about here, where they had the best defense in baseball for over a month period of time. Now you're seeing it rear its ugly head, where this team isn't protecting the baseball as it was at the beginning of the year. The offense is non-existent. It hasn't been in this series, and basically got shut down in San Diego as well. In this series, 19 for 94, 2 home runs, 4 runs, 7 walks, 23 strikeouts. Ready for this? 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Let that sink in. The opportunities were there. I'm not saying prevalent in every game, but they had opportunities in at least 2 of these games to really break through and change the momentum and change the course of this game. But they left those men stranded on base trying to do too much. And again, shout out Seattle Mariners pitching. I know this is one of the better pitching staffs that they will face this year, at least on the American League side. But you got to have professional at-bats, and you got to get the job done as a professional hitter sometime. 1 for 17 is not even close to acceptable. And I hope that's something that they key in on moving forward, that they need to have more of an emphasis on playing baseball as compared to just getting your A swing off. Because there were too many moments that the swings got a little bit too big in some heightened situations where the course of the game could have turned back into the A's favor. They came up short, and then Seattle did a good job leaning on the foundation of their dominant pitching in this series to add on and tack on towards the back end of this game to take the air out of the building and take the life out of this A's team. Combine that, and now the A's pitching staff, they're struggling with a combination of inconsistencies, with location conviction, and availability based on injury or effectiveness consistency. The home struggles continue in this series, on the year so far. They dropped to 10-14 on the year and extend their current 5-game home losing streak, which dates back to their Giants series, I believe. And like I mentioned, this is their first time being swept in a series this year since their first opening series back in March up in Toronto against the Blue Jays. So I guess a credit there that even if they're not winning every series typically, that they're going to show some fight and they're going to salvage at least one to build some momentum for their next opponent or whatever the case may be when they get that one. But in this one, they were just absolutely dominated. Seattle, from the moment they took BP Friday to the moment they're heading on the buses, heading to the airport. Oh, excuse me, not Friday. Keep thinking it's the weekend. When they showed up to Sutter Health Park on Tuesday, and by the time they left yesterday, absolute domination. Inexcusable. Just Monday through Wednesday baseball, it didn't feel like the A's showed up. It really just felt like that Seattle came in. They knew that they have to continue climbing after their rough start to the season, where it seems like Seattle is finding some life, finding some juice, showing why that they are the defending American League West champions. This was the roughest series of the year so far, in my opinion. They get outclassed in this series 22-4 by Seattle. The Mariners just wanted this series more, and now the Mariners are in first place. After all that goodwill you built up, being in first place for an extended period of time, it's gone like that in the blink of the eye because you couldn't defend your home ballpark. Just seems like right now a disjointed team effort. Someone's got to step up and lead the change. This was an unacceptable showing in this series. Now I understand. Let's keep it all in perspective. This is a team that is going through its growing pains. It's still a young team. This isn't a finished product of who this A's team is going to become. So there's going to be some good, and there's going to be some bad, and there's going to be some in between. And we got to remain constant, consistent, and accepting all throughout. Totally understand that. But I could still voice my opinion because I could see the potential in this team, and I've seen how they've performed against teams that perhaps are better than them on paper, but they rose to the challenge and succeeded, at least showing some more competitive fight. And this one, it just seemed like they laid over and died and let Seattle have anything they want, and that I can't accept. That type of effort I cannot accept. You go out there, you give it your best, you put out your best effort, your best performance, whatever the case may be, and you just get beat. Sometimes you tip your cap to that opponent. And we've seen games like that this year. Absolutely. But this series wasn't one of those. I hope it changes fast because the schedule does not get easier. You know, like we mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to do a preview of the back end. The New York Yankees are in town. Then they have the Cubs. Then they have the Astros, who have been playing better baseball of late. Does not get easier. So if this A's team is going to want to stay afloat, stay toward the top of the division, in the division that's attainable by basically anyone in it, then they're going to have to rise to the occasion because they're going to have some tough teams coming up that perhaps have a little bit more depth, a little bit more talent across the board than they do. But this A's team has enough spunk, enough fight, enough baseball savvy that they can get it done. But it's going to have to start defending their home before they hit the road. We'll quickly do our 3 stars here. I almost skipped it again just because of the disappointing performance in this series, but nevertheless, just want to give a few shout-outs here. So star 3, we're going to give it to Gage Jump just because he made his Major League debut and I felt really did some good damage control and so showed some poise to keep the game within reach. In fact, the most attainable game most likely was Game 2 and his start on Tuesday, so certainly appreciate his performance there. So congrats again, Gage Jump making his Major League debut. Looking forward to your next start. The second star in the series, we're giving it to Jeffrey Springs. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned, 7 Ks. Certainly did his part until this game got out of hand after his exit. His defense let him down early, or else perhaps his line could have looked even better, and maybe he could have worked even deeper into this ball game. We will never know. And the first star of the series, we're going to give it to Tyler Soderstrom. He's slowly waking up. The swings are looking better. He went 4 for 11 in the series, a home run and RBI, 2 doubles, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He was the only really consistent offensive threat in this series, and hopefully he can carry that into this weekend and for many games to come. All right, let's take a deeper look at Gage Jump's first start in the big leagues as we are done with. We're not thinking about the Seattle Mariners anymore, and we're going to move ahead. But before we do, we want to reflect on Gage Jump just because this is one of the most electrifying left-handed pitching prospects in all of baseball, and it's exciting that the future seems to be here now. Gage Jump was among that group of youngsters Mark Kotze was discussing back in spring training. The A's saw enough of the left-hander during his stint with the big league club in the Cactus League to know that his time to help the big league club was imminent. That time finally came on Tuesday night. Jump, rated the A's number 3 prospect, was called up from AAA Las Vegas to start for the A's in a 4-1 loss, as we now know, to the Mariners at Sutter Health Park in his Major League debut, allowing 4 runs on 9 hits and 1 walk with 5 strikeouts. Jump indeed was in the zone plenty, throwing strikes on 58 of his 88 total pitches. He missed a good amount of barrels as well, generating 13 whiffs, 5 on his slider and 3 on his sweeper, which he utilized as the put-away pitch on 3 of his strikeouts. The 23-year-old lefty was as electric as advertised in the first, working a 1-2-3 frame with a pair of swinging strikeouts of J.P. Crawford and Randy Arozarena on the sweeper and slider. The second inning saw the learning curve most young pitchers must go through at the highest level. The Mariners hung 3 runs against Jump on 3 hits and a walk. While Jump constantly got ahead in the count all night, A common theme in that second was the inability to finish with 2 strikes. Of Jump's 8 batters faced in the second, 5 reached a 2-strike count. Of those 5, only 1 ended in an out, which was a sac fly by Cole Young. The other 4 resulted in 2 singles, a double, and a walk. Scouts have long raved about Jump's composure and competitiveness on the mound, and that was on display after the second. He allowed another run in the fourth, but executed a sweeper to Josh Naylor to induce an inning-ending double play and escape a bases-loaded jam with limited damage. Jump ended his outing on a high note, retiring all 3 batters faced in the fifth with 2 strikeouts, including 1 on a sweeper down the zone that Cole swung through for strike 3 to finish his first Major League outing. In all, Jump flashed the stuff that elevated him to his standing amongst the best pitching prospects in all of baseball. His fastball maxed out at 97.9 miles an hour, and his overall arsenal has been trending upward at AAA, where he just earned Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Week honors, coming off a start of 7 scoreless innings with no walks and 9 strikeouts. The A's certainly could use a boost in the starting pitching department, as starters going into his Tuesday performance were 0-6 with a 5.80 ERA over their past 10 games. Jump's arrival represents the potential for a frontline starter as one of the club's most exciting pitching prospects in quite some time. So glad we were able to witness that and experience it. We definitely wish that it was in a winning performance, but nevertheless, it's definitely good to see that another A's prospect has graduated to the Major League level. And it was really a delight to watch. He's someone that works with pretty good pace and was filling up the zone, especially early in counts. He got ahead a lot of hitters. And you could see that elevated fastball. It has that higher, above average spin rate, which really allows him to work at the top of the zone as well, making life difficult for hitters to get on the top of that baseball. Where he falls into some issues, it seemed like, where he would get ahead and then start nibbling with 2 strikes, trying to be a little bit too fine, letting these hitters get back into the zone and have some success, especially in that second inning. But that is something that a young pitcher, which most young pitchers have had to learn and deal with, is just learn how to grow from that. Because I think he needs to realize that he does have the stuff to consistently put away Major League hitters. He just needs to have a more formulated plan. Once hitters make their adjustments even mid-game, he's going to need to devise a plan that's going to adjust with those hitters' adjustments as well. And I'm not saying that he needs to allow the opposing lineup to dictate what he's throwing, but different hitters have different tendencies, so there could be a different pitch mix that can help you be in a more successful spot depending on where you're at in the order and things of that nature. But I think all in all, I think it was a positive start, a good performance. He definitely, in the postgame, is someone you can tell has high competitiveness because he was certainly down on himself. He was not satisfied with allowing the 4 runs, which totally understand that. Love the standard that he holds himself. But all in all, I think it was one bad inning where he became a little bit too predictable, couldn't put hitters away, and that's something that I think he will be able to grow from. There was a lot to like. He started and ended on such a strong note, electrifying fashion, and hopefully, especially once we see him that second time around, that he'll have his feet more settled under him and be able to start getting into a groove. Because this A's rotation needs it direly, and if that is going to be his worst and he's going to be able to build upon that, then the A's are really getting a frontline type starter at quite a young age. The future is upon us, and looking forward to seeing Jump back on the mound once he has his feet settled once again in his next start, most likely on the road. I believe it would be against the Cubs. We will be sure to confirm that on our next show. Let's take a look at some injury updates to see when some A's will be returning to the big league club from their respective ailments. So, right-handed pitcher Aaron Savali, as we talked about on our last show, and was a part of the reason why Gage Jump got the call. He is dealing with some right shoulder tendonitis. He went on the IL officially on May 26th. He's on the 10-day IL. The MRI revealed moderate tendonitis in his rotator cuff. A's will provide more information on a potential timeline for his return at a later date. Nothing definitive at the moment. Someone that's been gone for a little bit now, shortstop Jacob Wilson. He is suffering from a left shoulder subluxation. He went on the IL back on May 12th to the 10-day injured list, which is retroactive to May 11th. His expected return is late June. He did begin a hitting progression on May 25th by hitting off a tee. He is playing catch and will start a ground ball work progression at some point this week. There is no official timeline for his return, but there is the expectation that we could see him by the end of June, depending on how long his recovery takes, maybe early July. Third baseman Max Muncy, he is still recovering from a left-hand fifth metacarpal fracture. He's been on the IL since April 26th. There is really no update here in terms of his timeline. He did take batting practice and performed infield drills at Sutter Health Park during this past series, but no official timeline for his return. Center fielder Denzel Clark, he is still dealing with a left hamstring strain. He went on the IL on April 22nd and, in fact, unfortunately, has been progressed to the 60-day injured list after, with an expected return now pushed back to after the All-Star break. He was pulled from a rehab assignment after sustaining a high-grade hamstring strain back on May 19th. He will receive a platelet-rich plasma injection and will be reassessed after the All-Star break. So, doesn't seem like it's healing well there for him. Sorry to hear for Denzel Clark. And right-handed pitcher Brooks Kriske, he is dealing with a right shoulder impingement. Went on the IL back on May 13th to the 15-day IL. His targeted return is late June. He was shut down from throwing for a minimum of 3 weeks beginning on May 18th. Received an ultrasound-guided cortisone shot injection on May 19th. We'll be sure to provide updates on these players' injury timelines as soon as the A's make that information readily available. So that's some groundkeeping. We wanted to get you all caught up to speed in case you were wondering where some of these A's players currently are. Let's head to the next challenge for the green and gold, looking to get back on track this weekend. Before we do, this episode is brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms, supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities, including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant, and serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workplaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you're attending an event, planning a meeting, or exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment, and cultural attractions, our downtown location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full-service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. All right, let's get to the back half of our show, and we are going to preview their next challenge. And boy, is it a vast challenge indeed. The A's welcome in one of the best teams, not only in the American League, but in all of baseball for a 3-game set, starting tonight as they will now be facing off against the New York Yankees. The Yankees come in with a record of 34-22, and they are led by manager Aaron Boone. They're coming off a dominant 3-game sweep in Kansas City and flew into Sacramento yesterday during the off day. They will be looking to continue their good fortune rolling along. The Yankees offense ranks as follows. They have hit for a .242 team batting average, which is 14th in baseball. They've hit 83 home runs, which is the most. They've scored 280 runs, which is 4th. They've walked 244 times, which is 2nd. They've struck out 489 times, which is tied for 10th most. And they've hit to a .770 OPS. On the mound, they've been pitching it rather well. They've pitched to a .314 ERA, which is 2nd in baseball. They've walked 171 batters, which is the 6th least. They've struck out 483 batters, which is 11th, and they've pitched to a .116 whip, which is 3rd. And defensively, they fielded it at a .987 fielding percentage, which is 13th, and they've committed 26 errors, which is tied for 12th in baseball. This is how the Yankees project with their starting lineups. I do know they have some maneuverability based on starting pitching matchups, but this is their typical traditional, and we'll talk about some platoon guys at the bottom. So leading off in center field, Trent Grisham. Batting second, the reigning American League MVP in right field, Aaron Judge. Batting third, the first baseman, Ben Rice. Batting fourth, the left fielder, Cody Bellinger. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, Paul Goldschmidt. Batting sixth, the second baseman, Jazz Chisholm. Batting seventh, it's a combination of Anthony Volpe and Jose Caballero at short, or you may see Caballero at third, or in the outfield, he is a utility guy. Batting eighth, depending on platoon split, it will either be Ryan McMahon or Ahmed Rosario at third base. And batting ninth at the catching position, it will be a mix of Austin Wells and J.C. Escaro. Let's take a look at the starting pitching matchups as well as game times for all three games in this series. So tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Carlos Rodon will be getting the ball for the Yankees, going up against former Yankee Luis Severino. And then tomorrow, game 2 is a night game, 7:05 p.m. Pacific. Ryan Weathers will be getting the ball for the Yankees, going up against JT Ginn. And then Sunday will be a daytime edition for the rubber match in this three-game set. Will Warren will be getting the ball for the Yankees, going up against Jacob Lopez. Now, let's get to know who these Yankee starting pitchers are that the A's hitters will have to face up against. So tonight's starter for the Yankees is left-handed pitcher Carlos Rodon. On the year thus far, he's made 3 starts, going 0-2 with a 4.15 ERA. In 13 innings, he's issued 11 walks, 17 strikeouts, and a 1.46 whip. In his last start, they lost against Toronto, but he pitched probably his best performance of the year to date. He went 5 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. His fastball thus far has averaged 94.3 miles an hour, and he works with a 5-pitch mix, a fastball, slider, sinker, changeup, and curveball. Rodon is a high-velocity lefty who has successfully diversified his pitch arsenal, though he is currently fighting severe post-surgery command issues. After undergoing off-season surgery in October of last year to remove a bone spur in his left elbow, Rodon made his late-season debut for the Yankees earlier this month. While his raw velocity has returned at an elite level, his control remains heavily compromised as he adjusts post-operation. He managed a massive 193 2/3 inning workload in 2025 despite a painful bone spur. Fully recovered from his October elbow surgery and built back up to a normal starter's workload, approximately around 95 to 100 pitches. His high-effort, aggressive delivery generates exceptional power, but naturally imposes a lingering command tax and injury risk. Rodon has actively shed his predictable 2-pitch tag, 4-seam slider, to feature a multi-speed 5-pitch mix that prevents hitters from sitting on high fastballs. His fastball features an elite velo uptick to 96.3 miles an hour, extreme fly ball profile with high whiff potential. His slider is hard, sharp breaker, acting as his primary put-away weapon, historically generates approximately a 38% whiff rate. His sinker has hard-tailing action, used effectively to jam right-handed hitters and generate ground balls. His changeup is an off-speed weapon that keeps hitters from timing his heat, crucial for neutralizing right-handed hitters. His curveball, utilized in rare occasions, is a slow baseline breaker used purely to disrupt visual timing and steal early strikes. Some of his current strengths, his elite stuff and whiff generation, even with spotty command, he remains incredibly tough to hit, yielding a meager 178 opponent batting average. His increased velocity on his 4-seamer peaked at a career-high average of 95.7 miles an hour in his season debut, proving his arm strength is fully intact post-surgery. Mixing in changeups and sinkers makes it far more difficult for hitters to sit on a singular velocity band, leading to increased unpredictability. He is having severe walk problems early. Missing a month of the season has wrecked his fine command, resulting in an alarming 18.6% walk rate, which has been 11 walks in his first 13 innings. He has had an inability to reset. When deep at-bats drain his energy or calls go against him, he struggles with composure at times, leading to high-pitch frames and early exits. He does have some fly ball tendencies on his 4-seamer, meaning mistakes often translate into hard-hit fly balls, making him susceptible to sudden damage in small ballparks or perhaps hitter-friendly havens like Sutter Health Park. So perhaps stay tuned to some potential power output from the A's offense tonight. Game 2 starter tomorrow, another lefty that the A's are going to be going up against. It's going to be Ryan Weathers. On the year thus far, he has made 10 starts, pitching to a 2-2 record with a 3.14 ERA. In 57 and a third innings pitched, he's issued 16 walks, 65 strikeouts, and has pitched to a 1.12 whip. In his last start, he got the no decision against the Rays, but pitched very well. He went 7 innings, allowed 4 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks. His fastball this year, thus far, has averaged 95 miles an hour, and he works with a 5-pitch mix: a fastball, changeup, sweeper, sinker, and slider. Weathers has been a massive asset for the Yankees rotation, whom they acquired via the trade from the Marlins this past offseason. He features an optimized pitch mix, relying on a 97-mile-an-hour four-seam fastball alongside a highly effective sweeper, slider, and changeup. His underlying metrics are strong, highlighted by a career-best 112 location plus and a 44.6% whiff rate on his sweeper. His four-seam fastball consistently sits in the upper 90s, making him one of the hardest-throwing left-handed starters in the major leagues. He relies heavily on his four-seam slider and changeup while mixing in that sinker. On his secondaries, the scout noticed his advanced feel for sequencing, landing both his changeup and slider for strikes in positive counts. He has vastly reduced hard contact and improved his strikeout percentage to 28.3%. Weathers, in his history, has dealt with forearm and lat strains while in Miami, which limited his workload over the last 2 seasons. He has been healthy thus far and durable through the first 2 months of this season, however, and has established himself as a reliable anchor in a Yankees rotation that just recently got back Gerrit Cole and Carlos Rodon, but they were without those guys through the first month and a half of the season. And as for Game 3 starter, they are going to be facing up against right-handed pitcher Will Warren. On the year thus far, he's had a good season, making 11 starts, pitching to a 6-1 record with a 3.55 ERA, and 58 and a third innings pitched. He's issued 16 walks, 65 strikeouts, and has pitched to a 1.17 whip. In his last start against Kansas City, he got the win. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. He works with a 5-pitch mix: a fastball, sinker, sweeper, changeup, and curveball. On the year thus far, he has had a 26.6 K percentage, which is in the 77th percentile of all qualified pitchers, and a 6.6 walk percentage, which is in the 81st percentile, which are both according to the metrics of Baseball Savant. Warren's sudden elite performance stems from a mechanical adjustment he made during spring training. He shifted his pitching position from the first base side of the rubber back to the third base side, reverting to his college setup. This completely altered his horizontal approach angle. By widening his release point, his pitches crossed the plate at sharper, more deceptive angles. The HAA on his four-seamer widened from 2 to 3, and his sweeper stretched from 5.2 to 5.8, making it incredibly difficult for hitters to track. With his arsenal, he throws a four-seamer and a heavy sinker, both sitting around 94 miles an hour. The sinker rate generates a high ground ball rate. His primary out pitch is his sweeper-slider mix, sitting around 84, which plays exceptionally well off the altered release point. His changeup is highly effective against left-handed hitters, featuring over 35 inches of drop and a whiff rate exceeding 30%. His command and efficiency have vastly improved as his walk rates continue to drop routinely, logging flawless, deep, and low pitch count innings. He is known for his consistency and ability to turn over a lineup 3 times in an inning, showing some consistent durability. Some areas of focus which he has improved upon is his effectiveness against left-handed hitters. He had previously struggled against lefties who posted a 786 OPS against him, but utilizing his plus changeup more consistently has helped mitigate this platoon split. That's a wrap on the Yankees scouting pitching report. This is how the A's hitters have fared against these guys in previous meetings. So against Carlos Rodon, Shea Langoliers is 4 for 8 lifetime, while Brent Rooker is 1 for 12, but that one was a home run. Against Ryan Weathers, Nick Kurtz is 2 for 4. Rooker is 1 for 4 with a home run. Butler 1 for 3, and Tyler Soderstrom is 1 for 3. And against Sunday starter Will Warren, Nick Kurtz is 3 for 7 with a double. Brent Rooker 2 for 8, and Jeff McNeil 1 for 2. Earlier this year, back in April, the A's traveled to the Bronx and took 2 out of 3 from those Yankees. So looking to see if the A's can continue their success or if the A's will be coming out, or if the Yankees will be coming out here to West Sacramento, riding high on some momentum, looking to return the favor and winning the series out here. We will see how it all goes down. Before we get on out of here, we're going to make a couple of predictions, as we normally do. We want to keep the good times rolling for our predictions, and we hope this A's team gets back on the winning track. As for our home run prediction, we are going to select Brent Rooker as the A that is going to homer at least one time in the series. We do feel with the favorable matchup of two lefties starting in the series, we typically like to look at a right-handed hitter. We do feel Rook is starting to round into form more and more. While he doesn't have the highest volume of success against these two starters, he has homered against both of them in the past, so looking forward to seeing if he can do it once again. And as for our series prediction, we are going to predict that the Yankees are going to take 2 out of 3 in this one. We do feel that the A's are getting the Yankees into town at a tough time between the combination of their own misfortunes, but also the Yankees playing a quality brand of baseball. In fact, we were pretty close, to be honest, to saying that we felt that the Yankees might sweep the series, so we won't be completely surprised if that happens. But I do feel with how the nature of baseball sometimes goes, I do think there is an opportunity for the A's offense to get going a bit tonight against Carlos Rodon, who has shown he could, at his best, is one of the more effective pitchers in the American League, but he is still getting his feet under him as he's only making his 4th start of the season, as he did return from injury to the Yankees earlier this month. So I do feel like there could be an opportunity for the A's to have some success against him, but against Weathers and Warren, I do think it will be more tough sledding, and do feel Luis Severino, coming off such a strong start in his last one, has refined his command, and I think we'll be looking for that opportunity to have a strong performance against his former club. So we're going to predict that the A's are going to win tonight 5-4 before the Yankees come back and win tomorrow 6-2 and the Sunday game 8-3. So again, that's our prediction that we feel the Yankees will take 2 out of 3 in this weekend series. So hope you all enjoyed the A's baseball this weekend, and hopefully that we are wrong with our prediction and the A's find a way to win this series, because it could catapult them back into the right direction, because right now things have not been going well. They're losers of 5 of their last 6. They need to get back on track. We saw them start to waver at this point last year. Hopefully we're not seeing this downward trend once again. So best of luck to the A's. Hopefully they have a good showing this weekend. We're going to do our best to see if we can perhaps get up there for tomorrow's game. Not sure if scheduling will work out for that, but if not, we'll be sure to take in all of the baseball action from our television set. And with that brings us to the conclusion of another edition of A's Day. Appreciate you all stopping by. Hope you enjoyed hearing our thoughts on everything going on in A's Nation. We'll be back behind the mic for Tuesday's show, as we will recap what goes down this weekend in the Yankee series before the A's hit the road and head to Chicago to take on the Cubs. We will preview that series that starts on Tuesday evening from Wrigley, and we'll be sure to share any other A's news that comes across our desk between now and Tuesday's show. That's all we have for you. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grotto. Thank you all for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed our Friday edition, and I hope we are treated to some A's winning baseball. It's been a little bit at this point. Take care, everyone, and until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.